The first rule Sarah learned at the Citadel was simple. Servants don't look at the throne. The second rule, whispered in darker corners by older maids, was even simpler. Servants definitely don't touch it. Sarah had followed both rules perfectly for 3 months. 3 months of scrubbing marble floors, polishing silver, keeping her gaze down whenever Alpha King Kale Nightshard walked past. 3 months of invisible service in the most dangerous court in the 5 territories. Until today. "Move faster, girl!" Matron Gel's voice cracked across the throne room. "The king returns within the hour." Sarah's knees ached from kneeling on cold stone since dawn. Her hands, raw from lye soap, trembled as she wrung out her cloth. Around her, a dozen servants scrambled to complete tasks, the air thick with beeswax and fear. The throne room was designed to intimidate. Vaulted ceilings disappeared into shadows. Pillars carved with hunting wolves lined the hall. And at the far end, elevated on black obsidian, sat the throne itself. Even empty, it commanded attention. Carved from midnight stone that absorbed light, silver veins ran through its surface like frozen lightning. The armrests were shaped like snarling wolf heads, empty eye sockets that nonetheless seemed to watch. Legend said it had been forged in the first full moon after the Great Divide, when wolves and humans still remembered they'd once been one people. Legend also said it chose its kings. Sarah had heard the whispered stories, how the throne remained dark for 70 years after the last true Alpha King died. How 100 pretenders tried to claim it, only to be rejected. Some humiliated, others consumed by black fire. How Kale Nightshard, bastard son of a minor pack, had walked up those steps 5 years ago, and the throne blazed with silver light visible from 3 territories away. The wolves called it destiny. The humans called it witchcraft. Sarah called it none of her business. "You there!" Matron Gel's gnarled finger pointed at her. "The dais needs polishing." Sarah's stomach dropped. "Matron, Now!" The other servant's eyes filled with pity as Sarah gathered her supplies and climbed. 15 obsidian steps, each one bringing her closer to power that had broken stronger people. At the top, she knelt carefully, positioning herself to clean without touching the throne. The air felt different here, thicker, electric, like the moment before lightning strikes. Sarah dipped her cloth and began scrubbing. "Don't look at it," she told herself. "Just clean and leave." "Seraphina!" Matron Gel's shriek made Sarah jump. Her hand slipped. She twisted to catch herself. Her palm slammed against cold stone. Not the dais, the throne. Time fractured. The world went white, then silver, then exploded into moonfire. Light erupted from where her skin met stone, racing up the dark surface like liquid starlight. The wolf head armrests ignited with silver fire. Luminescence threaded through every vein, turning the throne into a constellation of impossible brilliance. And then it spoke. Not with sound, but with a voice that bypassed her ears and resonated in her bones. "Luna." The word reverberated through the chamber like a moonlight bell. Every servant froze. Every torch flickered. The air itself shimmered with recognition. Sarah tried to pull away, but couldn't move. The light wrapped around her wrist, warm and insistent. Images flooded her mind, wolves beneath full moons, a crown of starlight, hands intertwined under ancient trees, golden eyes meeting hers with devastating intensity. Then, suddenly, the light died. Sarah collapsed on the dais, gasping. Her palm burned where it had touched stone, and when she looked down, she saw a mark. A silver crescent moon, glowing faintly against her skin. The throne room had gone silent. Matron Gel stood at the bottom steps, face drained of color. Other servants pressed against walls, eyes wide with terror. No one moved. No one breathed. "What have you done?" Matron Gel whispered. Sarah stared at her marked palm. The throne had lit up. It had called her Luna, the word for an alpha's mate for a queen. I didn't mean to, Sarah said, voice breaking. I slipped. The throne recognized her, a young servant breathed. Recognized a human. Impossible, Matron Gell snapped, but fear bled through. She's nobody. This is some trick. The massive doors slammed open. Alpha King Kale Nightshard entered like a storm. He stood 6.5 feet of lethal grace, moving with fluid certainty. Dark hair framed a face beautiful like a blade, sharp, dangerous, perfect. His eyes, when they swept the room, were molten gold. Those eyes found Sarah immediately. She felt the impact like a blow. Neither moved. Kale stood rigid, nostrils flaring as if scenting something impossible. His hands clenched into fists. Behind him, his beta thorn and 6 guards filed in. They saw the faintly glowing throne, hands moving to weapons. Explain. Kyle's voice was soft, terrifying. Matron Gell bowed deep, words tumbling. Your Majesty, forgive us. This servant touched the throne. We don't know how. She touched it, and it responded. Kale began walking forward, each step measured. It was an accident, Sarah managed. I slipped. Stand up. It wasn't a request. Sarah's legs obeyed before her mind processed. She rose on shaking limbs, cleaning smock-stained, hair falling from its braid. Kale climbed the steps with predatory slowness. At the top, he circled her like a wolf examining prey. Sarah could feel his heat, hear the almost subsonic rumble in his chest. Show me your hand. Sarah extended her marked palm. The crescent moon gleamed silver, impossibly intricate. Kale stared, something unreadable crossing his face. Then he did something that made every guard tense. He reached out and touched the mark. The effect was instantaneous. Light exploded from both of them. Moonfire raced up Sarah's arm and down Kale's, connecting them in silver luminescence. The throne roared to life, blazing so bright servants cried out. And in that moment, Sarah felt him. His power crashed into her like a tidal wave. Wolf magic, the weight of kingship, loneliness that carved hollows in his chest, and beneath it all, a hunger so profound it stole her breath. She felt his shock mirror hers, felt him try to pull away and fail, felt the throne's magic wrap around them like starlight chains. Then Kale jerked back with a snarl, connection severing. Sarah staggered. Kale looked equally shaken, his eyes wide. Impossible, he breathed. Then louder. Thorn. Take her to the North Tower. No one speaks to her. No one touches her. And no one lets her near this throne again. Kale, Thorn began. Now. Guards surged forward. Sarah found herself gripped by iron arms, hauled down steps and away from the glowing throne. She caught a glimpse of Kale's face, saw confusion, anger, and something almost like wonder. Wait, I don't understand. Kale turned away, jaw clenched. Neither do I. They pulled her through corridors that blurred in her panic. The North Tower housed prisoners too important to kill, but too dangerous to release. Political hostages, traitors, mad wolves. And now, servant girls who made the throne call them Luna. The tower room was circular, with narrow windows. A bed, a basin, nothing else. Guards shoved her inside and slammed the door. She heard the lock click. Then retreating footsteps. Sarah sank onto the bed, marked hand pressed to her chest. She could still feel the echo of Kale's touch. The throne had chosen her. But why? She was nobody. An orphan sold to pay debts. No wolf blood, no magic, no lineage. She was just Sarah. The crescent moon pulsed faintly and dread settled over her like a shroud. Hours passed. Light shifted from gold to purple to black. No food, no water, no explanation. Sarah paced, mind spinning through terrible possibilities. The door opened. Kyle stood there, alone. He'd changed into simple dark clothes that somehow made him look more dangerous. Without his crown, he looked younger. almost vulnerable. His gaze found hers immediately. "You're not afraid of me." Sarah considered lying. "I'm terrified. But not because you're a wolf." Something flickered across his face. Surprise, perhaps. He stepped inside, door swinging shut. In the enclosed space, his presence overwhelmed. He smelled like pine forests and winter storms. "Do you know what the throne is?" Kale asked. "A relic from before the divide." "More than that. It's a conduit to the old magic." He stared out the window. The throne doesn't just choose kings, it chooses pairs. Alpha and Luna. Two halves of one whole. Sarah's breath caught. "That's not possible. I can't be—" "You think I want this?" His voice sharpened. "Some human servant marked as my mate by magic I can't control?" The word mate hung between them like a blade. "Then reject me. Send me away." "I can't." The admission cost him. "I tried. The moment you left, I commanded the throne to release you." It went dark. Completely dark. Every wolf in the citadel felt the throne reject its king. He moved closer. "If word spreads, every rival pack will see weakness. They'll come for my crown. They'll tear this kingdom apart. So I'm trapped because of magic I never wanted. We're both trapped." He stopped close enough that she could see amber flecks in his eyes. "But there's something else. The mark isn't complete." "What do you mean?" "A true Luna mark comes in two parts. The throne gives potential. The alpha gives acceptance through a claiming bite. Until I claim you, you're vulnerable. The mark makes you visible to every wolf. Some will see you as a threat, others as a prize. If another alpha claims you first—" He didn't finish. "What happens to you?" "The throne rejects me. I lose everything." Sarah sank back, mind reeling. "So I'm claimed by you or become a target for every ambitious wolf." "That covers it." They stared at each other. Sarah saw her own trapped feeling reflected in his eyes. "Why me? I'm nobody." "I don't know." His certainty cracked. "But the throne does. In 5,000 years it's never been wrong." He turned to leave, pausing at the door. "Someone will bring food and clothes. Tomorrow, we announce our engagement to the court." "Engagement? Would you prefer I call it what it is? Political necessity wrapped in desperate magic?" His hand gripped the frame until wood creaked. "We have 3 weeks before the lunar conjunction. 3 weeks to convince everyone this isn't weakness or madness." He stopped, looked back with raw vulnerability. 3 weeks to figure out if the throne saw something we can't see in ourselves. Then he was gone, leaving Sarah alone with a marked palm and a future she never chose. She looked at the glowing crescent and wondered if the throne had made history's biggest mistake. Or if it knew exactly what it was doing. Sarah woke to sunlight and silk. For a moment, wrapped in warmth, she thought she'd dreamed everything. Then she lifted her hand, saw the crescent moon still gleaming, and reality crashed back. The room was palatial. Massive 4-poster bed draped in midnight blue. Tapestries depicting wolves beneath full moons. A wardrobe revealing dresses in colors she'd never worn. Crimsons, greens, blacks embroidered with silver. A servant stood beside the wardrobe. Not a girl Sarah knew. This woman was older, refined. "Good morning, my lady. I'm Mira, your personal attendant." "My lady." Yesterday, she'd scrubbed floors. "I don't need—" "The king requests your presence at court in 2 hours. We must prepare you." The next hour blurred. Mira drew a bath scented with lavender and moonflower. When Sarah sank in, her permanently tense muscles finally relaxed. Mira washed her hair with practiced efficiency. "The court will watch everything. Your posture, your dress, how you address the king. They'll look for unworthiness. I am unworthy. I'm a servant. You're the woman the throne chose. That makes you more worthy than every highborn lady here." After came the dress. Deep emerald that brought out her gray-green eyes. The fabric was impossibly soft. When Mira laced the bodice, Sarah caught her reflection. She barely recognized herself. dark hair fell in waves. The dress transformed her from invisible servant to someone who might belong. Almost. One more thing. Mira produced a silver chain with a crescent moon pendant matching her mark exactly. I can't. It's a statement. Wear the mark with pride or the court will destroy you. A knock. Thorn appeared, scarred and intimidating. The king is waiting. Sarah followed through corridors she'd cleaned but never truly seen. Servants pressed against walls, eyes wide. Some shocked, others angry, a few envious. Yesterday, I was one of them. Thorn led her to a council room. Massive table, high-backed chairs, maps on walls marking territories. Kale stood studying a northern map, formally dressed in black and silver, crown on his head. When he looked up, something flickered in his eyes. You look different. Cleaner. Less likely to ruin ancient artifacts. A ghost smile touched his lips. About yesterday, I was harsh. You were honest. I was an ass. None of this is your fault. He moved toward her. I took frustration out on you. That was unworthy. An apology from a king. The court will be difficult. My council, pack leaders, high-born ladies who've positioned themselves as Luna candidates, they'll be shocked and angry. Should I look appropriately humble? You should remember the throne chose you. Not them. His eyes held hers. I need you to believe that, even if I'm still figuring out how. The door opened. 6 men entered, bearing power and age, lords of Kale's council. Lord Vander led them, tall, silver-haired, born to command. His pale eyes swept Sarah with contempt. Your Majesty, rumors have been flying. Surely you'll clarify this situation. I intend to. Kale's voice carried authority. Gentlemen, meet Lady Seraphina, the woman the throne marked as Luna. The room exploded. Impossible. A servant. Madness. Only Vander remained silent, watching Sarah like prey. The throne has never been wrong. Kale cut through chaos. For 5,000 years, it's chosen true pairs. I trust the old magic more than my own judgment. But she's human, Lord Blackwood protested. Young, dark-haired, handsome. No pack, no lineage, no training. Then we'll train her. And if she fails? Vander's quiet question carried weight. What then? She won't fail. You sound certain of someone you met yesterday. Vander's eyes never left Sarah. Tell me, girl, can you lead? Make decisions that cost lives? Stand beside a king without flinching when he must be ruthless? Every eye turned. Sarah felt their hostility, their skepticism. Good. I don't know. I've never led anyone but myself. Never made such decisions. She met Vander's stare. But I've survived things you've never imagined. Been hungry enough to steal. Cold enough to consider dying. Desperate enough to sell myself to survive. So while I don't know if I can be what you think a Luna should be, I won't break easily. I've been broken and rebuilt more times than you can count. Silence fell like snow. Kale's expression stayed neutral, but she caught approval in his eyes. She has spirit, Blackwood admitted. Spirit won't defeat the Ravenclaw pack when they challenge, Vander countered. Spirit won't manage diplomacy. Spirit isn't enough. Is enough. Kale's command silenced them. The throne has chosen, I've accepted. If any wish to challenge my authority, do so, but be warned, I won't be merciful. The threat hung heavy. One by one, lords bowed, all except Vander, who studied Sarah before inclining his head. As you command. But might I suggest a test? What test? The Luna's ball is in 3 weeks. Traditionally, the Luna-to-be demonstrates fitness by hosting. Let Lady Seraphina prove she can navigate politics, manage the highborn, present herself as worthy queen. If she succeeds, the council accepts her. If she fails... He left it hanging. Agreed, Sarah said before Kale could respond. Every head swiveled. I'll host your ball, and prove I belong. or fail publicly and save everyone the pretense. Sarah, unless you doubt me, Your Majesty? For a long moment, they stared. Sarah saw calculation, reassessment, then something like respect. Very well. Lady Seraphina will host the Luna's ball. Council dismissed. Lords filed out, Vander lingering with a look promising complications. When the door closed, Sarah's knees nearly buckled. Either very brave or very stupid. Probably both. She collapsed into a chair. What have I agreed to? 3 weeks to learn everything a Luna should know. Etiquette, politics, alliances. While every highborn lady watches, hoping you'll fail. No pressure. Sarah. He crouched so their eyes were level. You don't have to prove anything to them. Yes, I do. Not for them. For me. I spent my life being told I was nobody, worth nothing. The throne says differently. Maybe it's wrong. But I need to know I tried. Kyle studied her face. That strange connection flickered again. You're going to be trouble. Is that a problem? Probably. But he was almost smiling. Come, we have a court to face. The throne room was packed. Every lord, lady, pack representative crowded to witness. Sarah walked beside Kale through a corridor of stairs, feeling hundreds of eyes weighing her worth. The throne blazed as they approached. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Whatever magic lived in that seat recognized them both. Kale led her up obsidian steps to stand beside the throne. From here, the crowd looked enormous, faces ranging from curious to hostile. People of the 5 territories, Kale's voice carried. 3 days ago, the throne spoke. It has chosen a Luna, as it chose me 5 years past. I present Lady Seraphina, marked by the old magic, claimed by destiny. He raised her marked hand high. The crescent moon glowed brilliant silver, visible to everyone. The crowd erupted. Some cheered, common folk excited by the romantic impossibility. Others stayed silent, expressions dark. In the front row, Sarah noticed a woman watching with particular intensity. Beautiful in a sharp, dangerous way. Dark hair, darker eyes, wearing crimson like war paint. When their eyes met, the woman smiled without warmth. Who is that? Sarah whispered. Kale's jaw tightened. Lady Isadora Bloodmoon. She's been pursuing the Luna position for 3 years. She looks thrilled. She's going to make your life hell, starting at the ball. Sarah watched Isadora whisper to another woman, both laughing. A chill ran down her spine. Then I'll survive hell. Kale glanced at her. Admiration flickering. You might actually pull this off. I have to, because I suspect the throne knows something we don't. Like what? She met his gaze. Like maybe we're stronger together than apart. The throne pulsed with light, as if agreeing. The first lesson nearly killed her. Not literally, though Sarah wasn't sure when Lady Cordelia Silverpaw made her balance a book while reciting all 37 major pacts. Again, and don't slouch. A Luna's posture must be impeccable. Sarah gritted her teeth. The Ravenclaw pack, descended from wolf brother Kalen, led by Alpha Magnus. The book tumbled for the 15th time. Unacceptable. 3 weeks until the ball. 3 weeks to transform a servant into something resembling a Luna. Or perfect timing, another voice interjected. Mira appeared with tea. Setting it down forcefully. Lady Seraphina has studied 8 hours without break. Rest might serve better than criticism. Cordelia's lips thinned. Impertinence. Truth. Fine, 15 minutes. But tomorrow, we begin dance lessons. If you can't master the Luna's waltz by week's end, we're doomed. The door closed with a decisive click. I like her, Sarah said dryly. She's a nightmare, but she's why the last 3 Lunas didn't embarrass themselves. Mira poured tea. Drink, and try not to throttle her. The bitter tea helped. Sarah sank into a chair, muscles aching. The lesson room was merciless. mirrors reflecting her inadequacy from every angle. How did the last Luna manage? Surely she didn't know all this beforehand. Mira's expression shuddered. There hasn't been a Luna in 15 years. King Kale's father refused to take a mate after his first died. And before that, she hesitated. Before what? The previous Luna went mad. They say the mark drove her to it, the weight crushing her mind. She walked into the forest one winter night and never returned. Sarah's tea tasted like ash. Mira, why would the throne choose someone who couldn't handle it? Who says she couldn't? Maybe the kingdom broke her, not the magic. Before Sarah could respond, raised voices echoed from the corridor. She recognized Kale's, though she'd never heard such fury. Dare question my judgment. Someone must. Lord Vander, you've elevated a nobody based on superstition. Sarah moved to the door, ignoring Mira's warning. Through the gap, she saw Kale and Vander facing off, Thorn between them. The throne has chosen true pairs for 5 millennia. Who are you to question? I question your wisdom in accepting so readily. Vander's voice dripped poison. Convenient, isn't it? A servant with no family, no connections. No one to object if something unfortunate happened to her. The temperature dropped. Explain that remark. Carefully. I'm merely suggesting a temporary Luna might serve purposes. Satisfy the throne without political complications. And if she met with an accident before claiming... Kel moved impossibly fast. One moment 3 feet away, next he had Vander against the wall, forearm across his throat. Listen carefully. Sarah is under my protection. If anyone threatens her, they'll answer to me. And I promise, Vander, you don't want to see what I'm capable of when truly angry. My king. Thorn's voice was cautious. The court is watching. Indeed, servants had frozen throughout the corridor, witnessing their king threaten a lord. Sarah saw calculation in Vander's eyes even as he gasped. This was exactly what he wanted. Let him go, Sarah said, stepping into the hall. Every eye turned. Kale's gaze found hers, still blazing with protective fury. Let him go. He's not worth it. He threatened you. He tried manipulating you. And you're letting him succeed. Kale's jaw worked, but slowly he released Vander. The lord sagged, massaging his throat. This isn't over, Vander rasped. Yes, it is. Because you've revealed your hand, Lord Vander. You don't care about tradition. You care about maintaining power. And you see me as a threat. Sarah smiled coldly. Then you have nothing to fear at the ball, unless I prove more than temporary. Vander's eyes narrowed. Without another word, he stalked away. Courtiers scattered. Kyle stared at her. You shouldn't have interfered. You were about to start civil war over an insult. That wasn't just an insult. He threatened your life. And you defended me, very publicly, very violently. She touched his arm, feeling tension vibrate through him. Thank you. But I need you to trust I can handle snakes like Vander without you tearing the court apart. I don't need to trust you. I need to protect you. Those aren't mutually exclusive. I'm not fragile. I've survived worse than veiled threats. His expression shifted, something softening. I'm beginning to see that. Your Majesty. Thorn cleared his throat. Evening patrol reports need review. Right. Kale straightened. King reasserting over protective wolf. Sarah, we need to talk tonight. There are things about the claiming you should understand. More things? How many surprises can one throne contain? You'd be surprised. He almost smiled. Meet me in the library after dinner. Bring questions. I'll try answering honestly. He left with Thorn, and Sarah sagged against the wall. Well, Mira said, that was educational. Which part? Death threats or near strangulation? The part where you stepped between an alpha king and his rage. That took courage or stupidity. It's a fine line. The library occupied an entire tower, 5 levels of books smelling of leather and time. Sarah arrived after dinner to find it lit by floating orbs, magic she was still adjusting to seeing. Kale stood by a massive window back to her. He'd changed to simple dark clothes that made him look more dangerous, not less. "Come in, close the door. This requires privacy." Sarah complied, heart beating faster. The library felt intimate despite its size. "You wanted to talk?" Kale turned, and vulnerability in his face made her breath catch. "I need to tell you about the claiming, what it means, what it requires. You need informed choice before the ball, because once we begin, there's no going back." Sarah moved closer. "I know about the claiming bite, that it completes the mark." "It's more than a bite. The claiming is intimate. It requires closeness, vulnerability, surrender from both parties. The magic won't accept less than absolute willingness." Heat crept up Sarah's neck. "Intimate how?" "The claiming must happen during heightened emotion, traditionally, during, well, you're clever. You're saying we have to—" She couldn't finish. "Not necessarily. But the bond requires intense connection to seal properly. It can't be forced or faked. The magic would know." He met her eyes. "And that's what you need to understand. If we do this, if I claim you as tradition demands, it's not theater. It's magic that binds us for life. We'll feel each other's emotions, sense each other's pain, be connected in ways most married couples never experience. There will be no walls between us." "That sounds overwhelming." "It is. I've seen claimed pairs move around each other like two parts of one being. It's beautiful. It's also suffocating if you're not ready. Are you ready?" "I don't know. I've been alone a long time, built walls so high I'm not sure how to lower them. The idea of someone in my head, in my heart—" He trailed off. "But the throne thinks you're my match. And I'm starting to wonder if it knows something I don't. If maybe what I think is strength, those walls, that isolation, is actually weakness it's trying to correct." Sarah studied him in the golden light. Powerful, dangerous man who looked lost, admitting vulnerability. What if we're terrible for each other? What if the throne made a mistake? Then we'll be magnificently terrible together. Kale crossed to her. "But I don't think that's happening." "Why not?" "Because you stepped between me and my rage. Because you challenged lords who wanted to dismiss you. Because you agreed to host a ball that could destroy you just to prove worthiness." He stopped close enough she could feel his warmth. "Because when I look at you, I see fire wrapped in determination, and I think maybe that's exactly what this kingdom needs. What I need." Sarah's breath caught. That's quite a speech from someone who called me an inconvenient complication. "I'm allowed to change my mind." His hand came up, hesitating. "May I?" She nodded. Kale's fingers brushed her cheek. The touch sent sparks racing across her skin, and she heard his sharp intake of breath. "The throne's magic. It recognizes when we touch. Tries to pull us closer." "Is that what this is? Just magic?" "I don't know. But I'd like to find out. If you're willing." Before Sarah could respond, the library door burst open. Thorne stood there, grim. "Kale. Problem." Kale stepped back, King reasserting. "What kind?" "The Ravenclaw pack sent an envoy. They're demanding an audience about the Luna situation." "Of course they are." Kale's voice turned cold. "Magnus never could resist challenging me." "Who's Magnus?" "Alpha of the Ravenclaw pack. Most powerful pack in the north. My primary rival. He's been looking for excuses to challenge my authority for years. A human Luna probably seems perfect." "What does he want?" "To meet you. Evaluate whether you're worthy. Find some way to undermine our bond before it's complete." Kale turned to Thorne. "When?" "Tomorrow, midday. He's already here, camped outside with 50 warriors." 50. Subtle as always. "Tell him I'll receive him in the throne room. Full court. I want witnesses." "Kale." Thorne's voice carried warning. "Magnus isn't here to talk. He's here to provoke. If you give him an opening, then I won't. His eyes burned gold. But I won't hide my Luna behind walls. If Magnus wants to meet her, he'll meet her with the throne blazing proof she belongs at my side. I should be there, Sarah said. Both men turned. If this is about me, I should face him. Absolutely not. Magnus is dangerous. He'll say anything to provoke, to find weakness. I won't subject you to that. You won't subject me to anything. I'll choose to face him. Or did you forget? I'm supposed to prove I can handle politics and alliances. Seems like a perfect opportunity. Kyle looked like he wanted to argue. Then, slowly, something shifted. Pride, perhaps. Or trust beginning. Fine, but stay close. And if he says anything uncomfortable, I'll handle it. Unless you don't think I can? I think you're about to surprise everyone, including Magnus, especially me. The next morning, Sarah stood before her mirror, while Mira wove silver through dark strands. You're sure? Magnus Ravenclaw is not kind. Neither am I, not when I need to be. Good, you'll need that. A knock. This time, Lady Isadora Bloodmoon stood in crimson silk and cold ambition. Lady Seraphina, how lovely to chat. Lady Bloodmoon, to what do I owe this? I wanted to offer advice, woman to woman, about Magnus. I'm listening. He's going to try humiliating you, to prove Kale made a mistake. Isadora's smile was poisonous. And between us, he's probably right. You're out of your depth. You'll drown in these political waters, and when you do, someone will need to step in as Luna. Someone prepared. Someone like you? I've been preparing my entire life. I know every pack, every alliance, every secret. You know how to scrub floors. Isadora examined her nails. So here's my advice. Withdraw gracefully. Tell Kale you can't handle it. Save yourself public embarrassment. That's your advice? It's mercy, more than you'll get from Magnus. Sarah stood, moving close enough that Isadora had to look down. Thank you for your concern. But I think I'll stay. See, I've spent my life being underestimated, and I've learned that people who assume I'll break usually shatter when I push back. Isadora's eyes narrowed. You're making a mistake. Maybe, but it's my mistake to make. Now if you'll excuse me, I have an alpha to face. For a moment, fury flashed across Isadora's face. Then she laughed, cold and sharp. This is going to be entertaining. I'm almost glad you're staying. Your failure will be so much more satisfying to watch. She swept out, leaving expensive perfume and malice. Well, Mira said, you've made a powerful enemy. Good. I was worried I wasn't making an impression. But her hands trembled as Mira finished, and as midday approached, Sarah felt the weight settle over her. She was about to face an alpha who wanted her gone, in a court that doubted her, beside a king she barely knew. The throne's mark pulsed on her palm. I hope you know what you're doing, she whispered. The light flared in response, and impossibly, Sarah felt reassurance settle in her bones. Sarah straightened her shoulders, touched the silver crescent at her throat, and went to face her test. The next morning, the throne room had never felt more like a battlefield. Sarah entered beside Kale at midday precisely. Her hand rested on his offered arm, and the contact sent familiar sparks through her, the throne's magic recognizing their proximity. Every step toward the dais felt heavy, watched by hundreds of eyes. The throne blazed as they approached, silver moonfire cascading up obsidian stone. Gasps rippled through the crowd. No matter how many times they witnessed it, the proof still shocked them. Kale guided her to stand on his right, the traditional Luna position. From here, Sarah could see the entire court. Lords and ladies in their finest, pack representatives in house colors, and at the front, a delegation that could only be Ravenclaw. 50 warriors in dark gray and black, each radiating casual violence. But the man at their center commanded every eye. Alpha Magnus Ravenclaw stood 6'4" of predatory grace. Silver streaked his dark hair, and scars marked his face from real combat. His eyes, when they swept the room, were winter gray and held no warmth. When those eyes found Sarah, she felt the impact, like a blow. "Your Majesty, thank you for receiving us on short notice." Alpha Magnus, quite the escort for a diplomatic visit. "These are dangerous times. Strange occurrences. The throne recognizing a human servant as Luna, for instance. The throne's wisdom is beyond question." "Is it?" Magnus moved forward, warriors parting. 5,000 years of choosing pairs from established bloodlines. And now, suddenly, it chooses her. The word dripped contempt. Sarah felt Kale tense. She squeezed his arm gently. "Let me handle this." "Alpha Magnus, you've traveled far to question the throne's choice. I'm right here. Ask your questions directly." Magnus's eyes narrowed with something like respect. "Very well. Tell me, girl, what do you know of pack politics?" "Less than I should. But I'm learning." "The Blood Moon Accords of 1847? A treaty establishing hunting territories between Ravenclaw and Silverpaw territories, signed after the Winter War." Magnus's eyebrow raised. "The Luna's traditional role in mediation? To serve as neutral arbiter in interpack disputes, using the throne's authority to enforce peaceful resolution before violence." "Impressive. Someone's teaching you well, but knowing facts isn't the same as having strength to enforce them. Tell me, when two alphas refuse mediation and choose combat, what does a Luna do?" The question hung in the air. Every eye watched. A Luna first ensures all peaceful options are exhausted. If combat is inevitable, she witnesses to ensure honor is maintained and recognizes the victor's claim, lending the throne's authority so the losing pack accepts defeat without prolonged conflict. And if the fight is to the death? Then she mourns the loss and works to prevent the next one. Magnus stopped directly in front of her, close enough she could smell pine and snow, close enough that she had to look up. "Pretty words? But you're still just a human girl playing at being queen. When real danger comes, and it will, you'll break. And when you do, you'll take King Kale down with you." "That's enough." Kale's voice carried alpha command that made several wolves flinch. "Is it? I think your king is afraid I'll expose the truth, that this is political theater, that you're a placeholder until he finds a real Luna." Something hot flared in Sarah's chest. "You want proof I'm real? Fine." Before anyone could react, Sarah reached out and pressed her marked palm against Magnus's chest. The effect was instantaneous. Silver light exploded, but this wasn't gentle recognition. This was the throne's power asserting dominance, reminding an alpha that it was older and stronger than any wolf alive. Magnus staggered back with a snarl, eyes flashing golden as his wolf surged. His warriors moved forward, hands on weapons. "Stand down!" Kale's command froze everyone. The silver light faded, leaving Magnus staring at his chest. The fabric showed a perfect handprint, glowing faintly with moonfire that refused to fade. "The throne doesn't make mistakes. It chose me. You can accept that, or keep challenging it. But the magic doesn't care about your opinion. Neither do I." For a long moment, silence. Then Magnus began to laugh. It started as a chuckle and built into genuine amusement that transformed his harsh features. "By the old gods, she has fangs after all." He bowed, actually bowed, to Sarah. Not deep, but the gesture of respect from one equal to another. "My apologies, Lady Seraphina. I came expecting a frightened girl. Instead, I find someone who'll mark an alpha for questioning her." He glanced at Kale. "You might have chosen well after all, Nightshard." "The throne chose well," Kale corrected. "Indeed." Magnus straightened, mockery gone. "Which brings me to the real reason I'm here. Not to challenge your Luna's worthiness, but to warn you both." The temperature dropped. "Warn us about what?" There are forces moving in the 5 territories that want chaos, that see the throne's choice of a human Luna as perfect opportunity to destabilize your rule. Magnus's eyes moved between them. I've heard whispers of an alliance forming. Old enemies putting aside differences to unite against you. Which enemies? Kale's voice went deadly quiet. That's what I'm discovering. But I know this. Someone's been spreading poison about your Luna, suggesting she's weak, her mark false, that claiming her will diminish the throne's power. Magnus's jaw tightened. And there are wolves listening. Powerful wolves who see opportunity in your apparent vulnerability. So you came to test me, to see if the rumors were true. And now I have my answer. You're stronger than they claim, which means whoever's spreading these lies has never met you. They're working from assumption and prejudice. Can you give us names? Not yet, but I will. Magnus inclined his head. Consider this my pledge of support. The Ravenclaw pack stands with the throne. When your enemies show themselves, we'll be ready. He turned to leave, then paused. One more thing. About the Luna's ball. Sarah's stomach tightened. What about it? It's tradition for rival packs to send representatives, to witness the new Luna's competence. His eyes held hers. Expect at least a dozen alphas, all watching for weakness. Some will be genuine allies. Others? He let it hang. Others will be the enemies you mentioned. Precisely. The ball isn't just a social event. It's a gauntlet. Survive it, prove yourself worthy, and you'll have the support you need. Fail. Magnus shrugged. Well, I'm sure Lord Vander already has contingencies. With that ominous statement, he swept from the throne room, warriors following. The moment the doors closed, the court erupted in whispers. Kale pulled Sarah aside. What were you thinking, touching him like that? I was thinking he needed proof, and words weren't enough. You could have triggered a challenge. Magnus could have killed you. But he didn't. Because the throne's magic is real, and it protected me. You need to trust that. I trust the magic. I don't trust the wolves who want to tear us apart. Then we'd better make sure they can't. Sarah glanced at the throne, still faintly glowing. Magnus was right. The ball is going to be a battlefield. And I need to be ready. The next 2.5 weeks passed in brutal preparation. Cordelia's etiquette lessons intensified until Sarah dreamed in protocols. Dance instruction left her feet bleeding in silk slippers. Mira drilled pack histories until names blurred. And through it all, Kale was there, not hovering, but present. He joined her dinners to discuss politics. He walked gardens while she recited alliances. He watched her dance practices with intensity that made her skin flush. You're improving, he said one evening, catching her when she stumbled during a complex turn. I'm surviving. There's a difference? In 3 days, we'll find out. They'd fallen into the Luna's waltz ending position, his hands on her waist, hers on his shoulders, faces inches apart. The music had stopped, but neither moved. Sarah, about the claiming. Her heart kicked. They'd danced around this conversation for weeks. The claiming bite that tradition demanded happen at the ball, before witnesses, to prove the bond was real. I know it's customary. Do you? His gaze searched hers. It's not just ceremony. The moment I mark you, everything changes. You'll feel what I feel. Know what I know. We'll be bound in ways that can never be undone. And if I don't want to be undone from you? The words hung between them, vulnerable and brave. Kyle's expression shifted, something raw breaking through. Then I need you to be sure, because once this happens, I won't be able to let you go. The wolf in me, the magic in the throne. It will bind you to me so completely that separation will be agony. Is that what you want? To bind me to you? I want... He struggled. I want to understand why every time you're near, I can think of nothing else. Why your smile makes something in my chest unwind. Why the thought of you facing danger makes me want to tear apart anyone who might harm you. That's the magic. Is it? Because it feels like something more. His hand cupped her face. It feels like the throne saw something I was too blind to see, that maybe we fit together in ways that have nothing to do with destiny and everything to do with choice. Kale? Your Majesty. Thorn burst in, expression urgent. We have a situation. Kale stepped back, moment shattered. What kind? The ball preparations. Someone sabotaged the decorations, ruined a week's worth of work. His jaw tightened. And they left a message. What message? False Luna, false Queen, false light. Painted across the ballroom floor in black ash. Ice slid down Sarah's spine. They're here already, the enemies Magnus warned about. And they've made their first move. Kale's voice turned to steel. Thorn, increase security, guards on every entrance, patrols doubled, someone watching Sarah at all times. I don't need… You do. They've declared war. And the ball is in 3 days. The night before the Luna's ball, Sarah stood in her chambers staring at the dress delivered that afternoon. It was stunning. Midnight blue silk that shimmered like moonlight on water, embroidered with silver wolves that seemed to move in candlelight. The bodice was designed to display her marked palm, the neckline cut to show the crescent moon pendant and, once complete, the claiming bite. It's beautiful, Mira said softly, appearing with a warm shawl. You'll be magnificent. I'll be a target. You've been a target since the throne chose you. Tomorrow you just make it official. Mira draped the shawl around her shoulders. Get some rest. Tomorrow changes everything. After Mira left, Sarah tried to sleep, but her mind raced with everything that could go wrong. A soft knock made her sit up. Come in. Kale stood in her doorway, looking uncertain in a way she'd never seen. I couldn't sleep. Kept thinking about tomorrow, about everything that could go wrong. Me too. Can I… He gestured to the chair by her window. Would you mind company? Sarah nodded, suddenly grateful not to be alone. Kyle settled into the chair, moonlight painting silver in his hair. For a long moment, neither spoke. I'm terrified, Sarah finally admitted. Not of the ball itself, but of failing you. Of proving everyone right. That I'm not strong enough. Not worthy enough. You're the strongest person I know. You've survived things that would break most wolves. You've faced lords and alphas with courage I've rarely seen. You've claimed your place through sheer determination. But what if that's not enough? Sarah. He moved to kneel beside her bed, taking her marked hand. The touch sent silver light dancing across their skin. The throne chose you. I'm choosing you. Whatever happens tomorrow, we face it together. 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 Then softer. May I stay? Just until you sleep? I'll just sit here. I need to know you're safe tonight. The vulnerability in his request undid something in her walls. Yes. Stay. Kyle returned to his chair, settling in like a guardian. And with him watching over her, Sarah finally felt her eyes grow heavy. Kale? Thank you. For choosing me back. She didn't hear his response, already sliding into dreams, but she felt the warmth of his regard, steady as moonlight. Tomorrow would bring challenges, enemies, tests she might fail. But tonight, she wasn't alone. And that made all the difference. The ballroom had been transformed into something from a dream. Thousands of candles illuminated crystal chandeliers. Walls draped in midnight blue and silver displayed wolves embroidered in thread that caught light and seemed to move. The musicians' gallery overlooked a dance floor large enough for 300 guests, and every single one had come to watch Sarah fail. She stood in the antechamber, staring at her reflection. The midnight blue dress fit perfectly. Her dark hair swept up in an elaborate style, woven with silver chains. The crescent moon pendant rested against her throat like a brand. She looked like a Luna. She felt like an imposter. "Breathe," Mira instructed, adjusting the train. "You know every dance, every protocol, every name. You're prepared. Prepared to be torn apart by wolves in formal wear. You've survived worse." But Mira's smile was strained. A knock preceded Kale's entrance. He stopped when he saw her, something flashing in his eyes. "You're beautiful." "You're required to say that." "I'm required to do many things. Lying isn't one." He crossed to her, offering his arm. "Ready?" "No, but let's do this anyway." They walked to the massive doors. Sarah could hear conversation on the other side, 300 wolves waiting to judge her. "Remember, you don't have to prove anything to them. You've already proven everything to me. And if I stumble, then I'll be right beside you, always." The doors opened. His Majesty, King Kale Nightshard, and Lady Seraphina, Luna marked. The ballroom fell silent. Sarah walked forward on Kale's arm, every eye tracking them down the grand staircase. She recognized faces: Lord Vander, expression unreadable; Lady Isadora, smiling like a cat with prey; Magnus Ravenclaw, watching with keen interest; and others. So many others. Alphas from the 5 territories, their mates, pack representatives. Everyone evaluating, measuring, searching for weakness. They reached the bottom. The crowd parted, creating a path to the center where tradition dictated the Luna must open the ball with the ceremonial first dance. The musicians struck up the Luna's waltz. Kale led her to the center. His hand found her waist, hers rested on his shoulder. Their marked palms pressed together, sending silver light cascading between them. "Don't think. Just feel the music. Trust me to lead." Sarah sank into the dance, into the rhythm she'd practiced until her feet bled. Kale moved with predatory grace, guiding her through turns and dips that felt natural when his arms held her secure. The ballroom spun, candlelight and faces and whispered conversations Sarah stopped trying to hear. There was only this: the music, the movement, the man whose eyes never left hers. When the final notes faded, Kale dipped her low, his face inches from hers. Applause erupted, but Sarah barely heard it over her pounding heart. Perfect. Luck. Skill. His smile was genuine. Now comes the hard part: mingling. The next hours were a gauntlet. Lady Isadora approached first, poisonous in crimson. Such a lovely performance, though I noticed a slight hesitation during the third turn. I recovered. This time. But there's so much more to being Luna than dancing, isn't there? Before Sarah could respond, Magnus materialized. "Lady Isadora, how thoughtful to offer guidance, though I'm sure Lady Seraphina has excellent advisors." Isadora's expression soured, but she excused herself with icy politeness. "Thank you." "Don't thank me yet. She's the least of your problems tonight." The evening wore on. Sarah fielded questions about pack histories, mediated a dispute between 2 minor alphas, managed not to spill anything despite carrying champagne through a crowd that seemed determined to jostle her. By midnight, her feet ached, her cheeks hurt from smiling, and her patience had worn thin. That's when Lord Vander made his move. He approached with 3 older alphas, all radiating challenge. "Lady Seraphina, we've been discussing the claiming ceremony. It's tradition for the Luna to demonstrate acceptance before the court, to prove the bond is genuine and not merely political theater." Sarah's stomach dropped. "The claiming will happen as tradition dictates." "Will it?" One alpha stepped forward. "Or will King Kale stage something false? A performance to placate the throne while maintaining flexibility?" "Are you questioning my king's honor?" "We're questioning whether a human can truly bond with our kind. Perhaps a demonstration would allay concerns. Here, tonight. Let the king claim you before witnesses, and we'll have our answer." The crowd had gone silent. Conversations dying. Sarah glanced across the ballroom. Cale had gone rigid, his eyes blazing. They were forcing the claiming. Here, now, in front of everyone. Not in the private ceremony Cale planned, but as public spectacle designed to humiliate them both. Well? Unless you're afraid the bond won't take? That the throne made a mistake after all? Sarah's marked palm burned. The throne's magic surged through her, responding to the challenge, and she suddenly understood. This was the test. Not the dancing or the politics. This moment where she either cowered or claimed her place with certainty. She looked Vander in the eye and smiled. You want proof? Fine. She turned to face the entire ballroom, raising her voice. I call upon the throne's ancient right. I, Seraphina, Luna marked, formally request the claiming ceremony, here, tonight, before all witnesses. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Even Vander looked shocked. Instead of refusing, she'd called his bluff and raised the stakes. Cale pushed through the crowd. When he reached her, he leaned close. You don't have to do this. Not like this. Not because they're forcing your hand. I'm not doing it because they forced me. I'm doing it because I'm ready. Are you? For a heartbeat, uncertainty flickered. Then something shifted. Acceptance, desire, determination. Yes, I am. He took her hand, raised it high so everyone could see the crescent moon glowing silver. By the throne's ancient right, I accept my Luna's call. Let the claiming ceremony begin. The ballroom erupted in whispers, but Sarah heard none of it. Her world had narrowed to Cale's eyes and the pounding of her heart and the knowledge that everything was about to change. The ceremony was older than kingdoms. At Cale's command, servants cleared the center. The crowd pressed back, forming a circle of witnesses. Someone dimmed the candles until only moonlight through massive windows illuminated the space. Kyle led Sarah to the center. In silvery light, his face looked carved from marble, beautiful and terrible. Last chance. Once we begin, there's no stopping. The magic will complete what the throne started. I know. I trust you. You shouldn't. His smile was strained. I'm about to mark you in front of 300 witnesses. It's going to be intense. Good. Sarah reached up, unfastening the clasp of her collar with steady fingers. The fabric fell away, exposing the curve of her neck. Show them we're not afraid. His eyes flashed golden, wolf rising. Around them, the crowd murmured. Some excited, others scandalized. Sarah, do you accept this claiming? Do you accept me as your alpha? Your mate? Your king? The formal words. Words spoken for 5,000 years. I accept. I accept you, Cale Nightshard, as my alpha, my mate, my king. I offer myself freely, without coercion or regret. Magic crackled through the air. Do you understand what this means? That you will be bound to me in body, mind, and soul? That my pain will be your pain, my joy your joy, until death parts us? I understand, and I accept. Then I claim you. Cale pulled her close, one hand cradling her head while the other wrapped around her waist. Before these witnesses, before the throne, before the old gods themselves, you are mine. He bent his head to her throat. The moment his teeth pierced her skin, the world exploded into silver fire. Sarah gasped as magic flooded her veins like molten moonlight. It wasn't pain. The pain transformed into something else entirely. Pleasure, power, connection so profound it stole her breath. She felt Cale's consciousness crash into hers, and suddenly she knew him. His loneliness, his doubt, his fierce protectiveness, and beneath it all, a yearning hope that maybe this woman was exactly what he needed. Through their bond, she felt him experiencing her the same way. Her strength forged in suffering, her fear of failure, and the growing certainty that standing beside this man felt like home. His consciousness whispered, possessive and reverent. She answered and meant it. The magic built between them, silver light cascading outward. When Kale finally released her throat, Sarah's knees buckled. He caught her easily, holding her as the last waves of power settled. "Look," he whispered, turning her to face the ballroom. Every candle had blazed back to life, flames burning silver. And on her neck, a perfect pattern of silver crescents glowed like captured moonlight. The ballroom erupted. Magnus raised his glass in salute. But Vander's expression promised this wasn't over. Hours later, as dawn painted the sky, Sarah stood with Kale on the balcony. "We did it. You did it." He wrapped an arm around her waist. Through their bond, she felt his satisfaction, his pride, his fierce protectiveness. And beneath it all, something warmer. Love, maybe. Or the beginning of it. What happens now? Now we face whatever comes together. He pressed a kiss to her claimed mark. The throne didn't just choose us as rulers, it chose us as partners. Sarah turned in his arms, looking up at him. "I believe it too." Then she kissed him, soft and sweet, as the new day broke. In the throne room far below, the ancient seat blazed with silver light. Not a warning, but a celebration. And in a tower window, Lord Vander watched with cold calculation, already plotting his next move. The battle for the throne was far from over. But for now, a servant girl who'd become Luna and a king who'd learned to trust held each other as the city woke below them. Together. Always together. As the throne had always known they would be.